Hi everyone, welcome back to Eco and Crafts. This video has been a long time in the making. Some of you might know that we moved flat about 8 months ago now, and I really wanted to make a sort of statement wall in one of our bedrooms. So I was kind of looking around on Pinterest and whatnot, looking for ideas, and I came across some blue ombre wall, and I absolutely adored them. I'll put some kind of pictures and links up over here to kind of show you what I was inspired by. I'll put some links down as well in the description. I was really initially tempted just to kind of buy these wallpapers. You can get them as like wallpapers and stickers and things. And then I was like, maybe I should challenge myself. Maybe I should give it a go. Like, how hard can it be? Turns out it did take quite a few tries for me to get it looking the way that I wanted it to look. But it was a really fun process, and I'm really happy with the results. So I thought I'd share that with you guys today. I did about 4 iterations before the results that we finally settled on. So I'll show you kind of the kit that we used, and then I'll put some timestamps down so you can see if there's a particular version of the wall that you like the best and you want to see how I created that, then you can hop straight to that timestamp. Otherwise, for anyone else, you can kind of watch how the process develops. As always, let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below, and let's get on with the video. Okay, so from darkest to lightest, there is Antibes, Sainte-Maxime, Artane and Whistler, all from Good Home at B&Q. I also got some Harris Seriously Good No Loss for walls and ceiling brushes. I'd honestly say don't bother, they lost bristles like you wouldn't believe. It was actually really annoying. You'd like paint a really nice part of the wall and you really liked the detail of it, and then you just realised that there were just bristles stuck everywhere, and it didn't matter how many times I cleaned them, even right at the end of this project it was still losing brushes. So I don't know which brand to recommend to you guys, but I would not recommend the Harris no loss brushes. Anyway, really sorry about the quality of this first clip. I don't know quite why it's so blurry, but it does get better in the next few clips. Anyway, to start with, I'm just using the Antibes for the upper part of the wall, then went down with a layer of the Sainte-Maxime, and then the next lightest shade, which was the Artane. As you can see, there's a really big difference between my middle 2 shades, which if I was to do this again, I would definitely pick 2 shades which were much more similar in colour, because obviously you can blend them out, but it took a lot of paint for me to kind of create the gradient that I wanted for this wall. I'm just using quite broad, loose brush strokes in a sort of crisscross pattern, and just starting by just kind of getting the paint on the wall. Just sort of layering it up and trying to blend as best as I could, but as I said, it did take quite a lot of work to kind of get any sort of decent colour gradient between the middle 2 shades. So, picture quality is a bit better now. As you can see, I have used some frog tape around the skirting, around the ceiling, around the walls, covering the plug sockets as well, and using some spare cardboard that we had, again, to protect the wardrobe and the other side of the wall. You can literally see me just picking out some of the bristles there. Here I'm just spraying some water on the wall as well. It just helps keep some of the paint a little bit wet to help with some of the blending, and it also kind of thinned the paint out as well, which again just helped create kind of a lighter colour gradient as I was going along. So just adding some of the Whistler colour at the bottom. You can see it really is quite a pale colour and quite similar to the Artane, which was the next shade up. So I was just getting a lot of coverage on the bottom bit there, and then kind of again using that crisscross motion with the Artane shade, the slightly greeny shade, to try and blend in between the two. So that was kind of the first style of ombre wall. I did find it quite cool, but it wasn't the kind of smooth gradient that I was wanting. So I went back in, still using a sort of crisscross pattern, but lots of kind of shorter brush strokes, spending a lot more time kind of trying to blend the different colours. So mainly I was just kind of individually mixing all these different shades. So instead of just putting the colours on the wall and trying to mix them on the wall, I was now, as you can see, using kind of little plastic trays almost to mix the colours at the time to try and create a better gradient. So this is now a second iteration of the ombre wall that we're going through. And yeah, I do really like the kind of effect it created, kind of the brush strokes and the sort of multiple tones you're getting in each brush stroke from mixing all these colours. Looked really beautiful on the wall. Again, it was really difficult still to get that gradient. You can still see the difference between the top two colours and the kind of bottom half of the wall. It's kind of an obvious thing to say, but obviously the colour paint looks like when you're putting it on the wall and the colour it dries as is never the same. So there's a few times I thought I'd kind of nailed the shade and I was like happy with it, and then I'd come back and it kind of wasn't what I was after at all. So this is me doing some more work to try and blend those different colours. And this is kind of like the third iteration of the wall now, kind of working back through it. And again, I was kind of tempted to stop at this point because I thought it had quite a decent colour gradient. I thought it was really beautiful colour range, but again, it just kind of wasn't what was in my mind's eye. So now trying to sort of sort out the transition between the middle two colours. And it's one of those things, by the time I felt like I'd got a decent colour gradient, it was now, the majority of the wall was actually pretty much the same blue colour because the top colours were so dark in comparison to the bottom ones. It was, yeah, pretty tricky to get a good gradient kind of in the middle of the wall, because this wall is where our bed, the back of our bed was going to go. So I kind of wanted you to be able to see and appreciate the ombre effect once we had our furniture covering part of the wall. So round 4, pretty much starting from scratch again. I decided it would be easier, instead of kind of starting with the dark colours and trying to lighten it up, to start with really light colours and then just kind of add in dots of the darker colours over that. Because I really wanted, as I said, that kind of midpoint in terms of the shades of the ombre wall that I had. I wanted that to be pretty much in the middle of the wall. I didn't want it to be down at the bottom where our furniture would be covering it. So also this time I'd ditched the brushes and I'd got one of those kind of car cleaning sponges, and I chopped it onto lots of little pieces, and I'm just using that now, and it created a much smoother effect, very much kind of more cloud-like, which was more like those Pinterest pictures of inspiration that I had to start with. So I was kind of immediately pleased with how this is looking on this kind of sample piece that I've done in the middle of the wall. And again, it's just really incremental, just kind of dab by dab, just adding a bit more of one of the shades into the palette that I already had in my hand to kind of finally get that graduated effect. The next problem is, now that you've created that sample that you're happy with in the centre of the wall, you've got to try and imitate that on the entire rest of the wall. And like I said before, the colour you think something is when you put it on the wall and you're happy it matches the dry paint next to it, when you come back later it's just not the right shade at all. And that was the hardest thing I would say about this is the sort of matching between different sessions of painting. So it meant going over the wall quite a few times to kind of get those like continuation of colour across the wall. So you can see that despite my best efforts, part of that wall is a bit patchy. It took a bit of time to kind of even it out. Finally, I kind of felt like we got there, and then again it's the same. Moving on to the other side and starting again. Again, this time I just thought it'd be easier just to start with just blanket painting over it with a light colour and then kind of working into that with the different shades on top rather than trying to start from scratch over this darker paint. So pretty much there now, just kind of touching up a few extra bits that I felt were not blending in as well with the rest of the wall. And that's it, that's the finished wall. So it was really satisfying actually to start peeling off the frog tape and leaving behind that really crisp line. I would definitely recommend, if you don't already, using this sort of tape, because yeah, really satisfying and no other touch-up jobs needed after you finished your statement piece of wall. And this is the finished look. So as you can see with the bed in front of it, you can see that ombre effect, and that's all done. Okay, so that's everything. That's the whole finished look. Hopefully you guys found it interesting. Let me know again what you think in the comments below. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help the channel out. And I'll see you guys in my next video.